Thought carrots only come from the store? You want to eat healthier but think growing it will take too much time and patience? Think again. Follow along as we grow. So, 1, 2, 3, harvest and flip it up in the kitchen. Let's go.
Welcome back to Seedlings, the beginner's guide to literally everything homegrown. Today we'll be growing carrots straight from the packet. Alright, so what do we need to get started? So we will need a little bit of water. Please try not to water hose any of your home garden, or else we will just wash the seeds over to our neighbors. So please do use water sparingly. We will obviously have a little bit, you can either use a rake or anything to kind of just even out the soil, make sure it's nice and clean before we plant. We will have our carrot seeds that we will use. Important is before we plant, we need to check our soil. No. So if you're in South Africa, you know our South African tradition, we do something called idombolo. So we basically want our soil to feel like that, a nice moist soil. Again, be careful not to overwater. Sowing the seeds. We're going to place the seeds about 3 inches down into the soil and about a foot's distance through the rows. We're only going to plant 2 rows, so we're only going to need that 1 foot distance of the 2 rows, and the seeds are then going to go about 3 inches down. We're going to just sprinkle the seeds into the area. So come along. So we are basically just going to use, you can use anything, you can use your hand. I'm just going to use this, and as you can see, it's kind of been outlined as deep as I'm going to go. I'm not going to go too deep, but I'm going to go deep enough to get our seeds about 3 inches into our soil. So come along. That will just move out the way. Please make sure to remove any weeds, and that's why it's going to be so essential for you to check your garden daily. Then about a foot, gonna make another line there, and then we go about 3 inches down. Okay, obviously we do have a little bit of some old roots that will just move out the way. Please make sure to remove any weeds, and that's why it's going to be so essential for you to check your garden daily. So just before we place our seeds, let's do an environmental check. So remembering that yes, sun, but not too much sun. So we are going to try, as you can see, we do have our apple tree. We need slight shade. Also be careful if you have any animals or pests such as snails. If you have anything like a snail, this is a good time to add your coffee grounds over. The smell will repel them so they don't eat up some of our seeds. So just ensure that we are taking care of the environment. So what we're going to do, we're going to sprinkle our seeds into the soil. Alright, so just before we do that, just want to show it to you so you can come on in. So these are the seeds we're using. Alright, and we're basically going to lightly sprinkle it into the soil. Alright, then we are about to close our soil. Now be careful. We are going to close and gently tap. Do not hit, we are not putting our seeds to sleep. We are just sending them off to boot camp. This will take about 7 to 21 days for germination. So come on through, let's cover. So we're going to gently cover our seeds. Again, we do not want too thick a cover, or else our seeds will have to work too hard to come on out. We are sowing our carrots. Number 1, soil check. Ensure rocks, no. Clay, no. But like idombolo, nice and moist is how we want our soil. 2, environmental factors. Sun, yes, not too much. Then we need to chase slightly shaded where we are. Additionally, if you have snails or anything that could eat our seeds before it is time for germination, you are more than welcome to add coffee granules. It is a great way to repel them. Please ensure things like cats or anything that could eat these up are a little bit far away. Another thing to remember is that as we come through every single day to check, we are going to note the following things. So come close. We can have weeds growing, so we're going to take weeds out. All right, as you can see, mushrooms also when it gets a little bit too moist. But as it grows, here we are, about 2 inches, you are actually welcome to cut a little bit, or what we call trim or pruning, to ensure we don't get overcrowding of our carrots. So we do slightly have a little bit of an overcrowder here. So you just kind of follow the stem, and don't worry, we're not betraying the carrots. We are just ensuring we're getting the best possible, but on overcrowding. So there we are. So another thing we can do is we can check the soil to see if our carrot is showing up. So if we look here, we can't see our carrot, so we close it up. If you move slightly back, if you check here, we can't see our carrot as yet. But if we come around this side, here we are, our carrots are peeking out already, and we can close that up. You can see there, carrots are peeking and close. So just remembering, overcrowding we do not need. So just remember, as we grow up 2 inches, to just prune a little bit of our carrots so we don't get overcrowding, but we are doing well. And also opening it up will help you see the weeds that you're going to take out as well. Here are the weeds there. And weeds basically then eat up the nutrients that need to be taken in by the carrots. All right.
Today we are harvesting some carrots, and just 3 tips to know when to harvest your carrots. First of all, we look at the size of our foliage or our leaves. We can see it has reached fairly great length, if we can call it that. The shoulders have started to appear above the soil line or the soil surface. You can see it's trying to push up, as well as the color. It's a beautiful rich color. It looks like a very mature carrot, if I can call it that, but it's the color. It's a very rich orangey color, and this is how we know that our carrot has matured. It's ready to be pulled out of the soil. So let's pull this one out together and see how it looks. We're just going to shake it off a little, just like that, and gently pull it out, and there we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful carrot. This is why carrots split, as we can see over here. This carrot has split several times. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So first 2 reasons is if it rains heavily, just shake it out and take it out. If it rains heavily after the soil has been dry, then it will split because it's used to certain conditions. So let's say more or less dry conditions, and then it rains quite a lot. then it'll split. Another reason is over maturing. As you can see, it was mature because the shoulder is very rich. It has a very rich color, very rich orange. It has matured. So over maturing and excess water after a very dry period of time. Over watering rather, or inconsistent watering conditions. And there you go, it has split quite hectically. Would you eat this? Let me know. Do you think it's still good for eating? Is it still good for consumption? Let me know.